So today we're interviewing Victor Renton, a friend of mine who's a muso from Melbourne and a quite diverse and interesting person, as you will all discover. He plays many instruments and I'm quite fond of him, and I think he's a very special person. So I hope you do too, and well, we all are unique in our own ways. Diversity is the core of life.
Bit of blues. 2, 3, 4.
It's nice to be able to try and play different instruments on these things. You can get different sounds. They don't all have to be harmonica. So, I'm a bit eccentric though, you see. I like to try and do things that people say don't do it. Like, how dare you put a capo on a classical guitar neck? Weather looks nice up there.
A beautiful day down there. It's a beautiful day here in Lake Macquarie as well, actually.
Much the same as here.
Speaking of Melbourne, I've got a question that I wanted to ask.
Oh yes.
So, a topical question actually. You live in Melbourne, as you just stated. You guys went through an earthquake last week. How did that affect you and your neighbours and your surroundings?
Oh yes, the windows rattled and the wall shaked. I knew exactly what it was. Been in a few tremors before, but that was the most severe I've ever been in. It lasted for a good 20 seconds. Because tremors only last, 5, something like that. Something we have to get used to. Mother Earth is very angry. Feeling all right.
So, my first question to you would be, how long have you had an interest in music?
Started off as a boy playing harmonica, and then lost interest in music because my brothers used to hide my harmonicas or wreck them. So, and moved away from home and started to play harmonica again as a 20-odd-year-old, and then started watching other instruments, players. And thought, I might buy a guitar, and went from there.
What was the first band that you took interest in, or the first song that resonated with you?
As a boy, I can remember singing the Beatles song, I Love You, Yeah, Yeah, Yeah. Probably Men at Work, because I actually saw them and got to talk to them.
Yeah.
I was playing one night in Inverloch, down in country town in South Gippsland. This is when I was, sort of first beginning.
Yeah.
I think learning those 3-chord songs makes it more interesting if you're picking up an instrument, like the root note or the root chord, the 4 and the 5th, like La Bamba, for instance. That's 1, 4, 5. only
La
the
la
one
la
called
la la
Fire.
la bum bum.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right. Richie Valens had
And
an untimely death, didn't he? Yeah.
wow, a lot of people think that was his song, but it's a 200-year-old
Is
song.
it really?
This is how it would traditionally go. That's all it was. Just very quickly, and 10 different guitars playing it
Wow.
in Mexico there. And Richie Valens just went, well, I'm going to turn that into what I think would be a beautiful song, and he got away with it.
Yeah, and ramp it up a little bit.
Well, traditionalists didn't like what he did.
Yeah. Makes me want to put a red rose in my mouth and like strut around or something and do something sexy, but hey.
Yeah. It doesn't matter how you make it in the music industry. I didn't play by the, apart from harmonica, I could bend notes and stuff and get into blues bands easily because I was just looking for a harp player. And I learned off the tab how to, construct chords. And used to be a nightmare once. I used to be, quite fearful of it all until you get used to it, I guess, don't you?
Yeah.
Must be like a sound technician. The more you do, the easier it becomes.
Yeah, true. I'm looking at Nigel as you say that.
Well, it's true. He wouldn't have known everything the first time he was doing everything. That's near impossible.
True, that's right.
They wouldn't. I wouldn't. If I wanted to start, I'd start at the bottom and have to work my way up.
Brings a song to mind, I guess.
What's
A
that?
long way to the top. If you want a Chico roll. Or a taquito roll, depends what area you're from, I guess. It's only rock and roll.
Life used to be wonderful when I had energy all day, but I don't have that anymore.
Yeah, I'd understand that.
You abuse your body, and one day it'll come back to bite you.
Yeah.
So, I've smoked a lot, and now suffering with lung cancer.
Yeah. And I guess,
That's how life is.
Does that affect you most in the mornings? Do you find that it's hardest to breathe or function
No.
in the morning?
No. A hot night, it can be scary because there's not enough oxygen. I can just black out. But besides from those two, no, I don't notice anything else.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know it's, excuse me,
That's okay.
I know it's different than how I used to be. Yeah, so playing on stage probably not going to work anymore, is it? Because get up on stage and you can't go having a coughing fit.
Yeah.
But I've always been an instrumentalist, to be honest. Can I play a song?
Of course, I would love that. Thank you.
Right, this is called Africa. It's mine. I got it from Genesis, I suppose. They're a very influential band. it's so they say. I just hear that someone. I think they have more danger. Almost, but not quite.
Hey, doesn't really matter. It's better to give it a go than not at all, isn't it? I mean, I've loved music all my life, and I never got out there and gave it a shot, you know. And now, at the age of 52, I'm like, to hell with it, and just get amongst it. And people might say the COVID has been, you know, shut down the world and shut down everything known to existence. But in my world, it's, I guess, it's opened me up to the possibilities. I've started writing songs, and thanks to the help of Nigel, I'm actually believing in myself. All this solitude and this time that I've had on my own has actually been a blessing. So,
and why not?
why not?
You know, at least you're trying something. Like a lot of people in this lockdown are just going mental.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
No, I was listening.
Oh, stop it, you bitch.
No, I've got this ability. When we used to have parties, I could sit there and people would be chatting, and if they got sort of silly, I could start playing dark music, and some people would cotton in on what I was doing.
Yep.
Other people were, you know, trying to chat each other up, so I'd play romance music.
It's a bit like The Simpsons. It depends which way you look into it, isn't it? It's either a kid show or an adult show, whichever way you want to perceive it.
Play school. Like Tony Hazelhurst. You know, I used to just, when I was younger, of course, my nieces and nephews were younger, and my sister would leave me with them. And play school would be on, so Noni Hazelhurst would be on it. You know, you just sit there for a minute. Oh yeah. So you go and make yourself a cup of tea and stuff while they're entertaining themselves. But I saw Monkey Grip, the movie she was in. She had a few nude scenes in it. And after that, trying to watch Play School was a completely new experience. It was gorgeous after that. Because Noni was quite young at the time. It's like a bush TV. Everyone sees it. See, if I could tell the viewers then something.
Yeah.
For instance, you got 3 chords. That's E, A7, and B7. So you learn this E down here. You know it's going to go there then. Then you know it's going to go there. And it has to go here. See, you start to write a song.
Yeah.
Just from one chord.
Those couple of chords, it takes me to a Muddy Waters song. I don't know, it's just got that same feel. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they would, because it's got this sort of well, same type of flavouring.
It has. Yeah.
Like, you know, it is hard to play anything but country music only on a 12 string, but you can if you sort of know what you're doing, or accept it when you make a mistake, because it's going to be twice as bad.
Hey, I'm all about that stuff.
Bach. This will be Pucker Bell. Good to study.
Yes.
I'm currently working on this one because a friend of mine died about 2 years ago, and sort of upset me a bit because he's you know, smoked a lot and just enjoyed life. He went fishing with his son, and I'd hang out with doing stuff, and he'd come back and we'd play cards, and you know, we're just good mates in ways. But when he passed on, I had these sort of tunes running in my head for the last decade or two, and this sort of popped out almost straight away. But then 18 months later, it's like this. I miss those card nights, laying up in the shed. We get the cards out, make amends. Remember that those nights every time. I remember you every time, my good friend. Play a little bit of Jet Party Shouts. Just have Jet Party Shouts. But you gotta move the leg.
Thank you, Victor. That was lovely.
Something like that.
Going back a few months ago, you shared a John Lee Hooker song, which I absolutely love. John Lee Hooker. I haven't listened to him for quite some time, but going back about 20 years ago, I had a boyfriend that loved all that sort of music. Takes me back to that movie Crossroads.
Yes.
Yes, and he came to the pathway in life, and he had to choose. Sort of, would it be rock and roll, or would he go this way or that way? I still haven't made up my mind.
I force myself to pull songs apart and have a look at them sometimes.
Yep.
Like Mums and Papas, for instance, really talented musicians.
Were they?
To play. play.
Yeah.
So it's 2, 3, 4. And there's a million bloody chords in it. But it's a
I
beautiful.
never realised until you tried to, until you demonstrated it then. It is more complicated than one would assume.
Oh, yeah. I love all that jazz style, you know, the Fly Me to the Moon, all that type of jazz.
Yeah.
At whatever speed.
Yeah.
Slow it down. There's my problem. I speed everything up. I don't slow it down.
Yeah, I've had that bit of that problem all my life. I mean, naturally, it's but I guess I've got to that point in my life where I'm going to actually make use of it
Yep.
instead of letting it be a burden or a curse. Utilize it, I guess. Count your blessings and count your days, like you said before.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, you know a Bob Dylan song or two, don't you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I went and seen Bob Dylan many years ago when I lived in Sydney. He was Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Bob Dylan and Stevie Nicks appeared at the time because she was dating Tom Petty. It was a great concert, one that I'll never forget. Bob Dylan came out on stage. It was great. Bob Dylan was on stage, Tom Petty came out, they did a couple of songs together. One would bow out, the other one would perform, and then they'd interchange. And it was an absolutely brilliant concert. Great songwriter. Yeah. What's your favourite Bob Dylan song? Too many?
Probably Hurricane.
Yeah. Your love, yeah, like a hurricane. All right.
It's a bit of a bit of a Spanish style.
All right.
That type of thing.
Yeah.
So that's how I can get away with busking. I reckon that's why I earn about $80 an hour.
Hey, that's almost as much as a hooker. You're doing well.
Yeah, I probably earn about that.
And you've recently started playing the cello.
Yeah. Yeah, I went
and how is that going?
I've got the bow worked out a bit.
Yeah.
You can sustain the notes. You don't have to. It's not as hard as it looks.
Yeah.
It's working out how to make the fifths work in the fourths, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't matter what I'm trying. I'm just not getting it right because I'm always going that half a step up.
Yeah.
Because I shouldn't be. Or because of the violin, it's tuned the same as the mandolin. And I've got one just at the back here. I've got one of each.
Yeah.
They're in fourths. So you get used to that. And then the cello turns up, it's in fifths, and it throws you out a bit. I'll get my head around it.
Yeah.
It'll start to work.
So what's your favourite instrument to play?
Harmonica.
Harmonica? Okay, I thought you were going to say banjo or something like that. That's interesting.
Oh, that's great fun. Yeah, that's down there on the floor. Banjos are brilliant to have fun with.
Yeah, that's I guess I love when you hear a banjo. It just makes one want to dance and tap your
Yeah,
foot and
yeah. That bluegrass is nice, you know.
yeah.
I don't think it matters what people play or what instrument they play or what genre they get into or how good they get to. Because there's a big factor in this industry, and it's called ego, and it ruins a lot of people because they think they're better than they are.
Yeah.
Or people tell them all the time, gee, you're good, and they start to believe it.
Yeah.
And yeah, they might be good on stage, but it doesn't make them a Don Juan, or it doesn't make them a nice person.
Yeah.
Wow. I really appreciate all this. This is good exposure, I guess. Or should I expose myself?
Thank you for sharing your story and your music and your talent with us.
Not a problem.
No problemo. Okay, no worries. All right. Take care.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Opportunity to speak to people around Australia and the globe. If you have a story that you think is interesting or special to you that you would like to share on our program and to the world, please don't hesitate to contact us. At myself, Sandra at Little Big Ole Me. We look forward to hearing from you. Hope you have a great day. Little Big Ole Me.